Welcome to the Drive History Podcast. This week is a doozy. I give you my hot take on the best PT Cruiser trims, we discuss the new Genesis shooting brake, cover the founding of Fiat, and find out what happened to the 1 millionth Porsche. Plus, Brian repos his own vehicle, and we help listeners make deals on Craigslist cars. All that and so much more coming your way right now.
You're listening to the Drive History Podcast, an automotive talk show that offers a day-by-day deep dive into the industry's most important and off-the-wall events. I'm Brian Corey.
And I'm Jordan Stead, and we are your hosts. Each episode will cover the latest automotive news and the week's history with lively discussion between the two of us cheapskate car enthusiasts and occasional guests. Punch it!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Drive History Podcast. This is Brian Corey. There's Jordan Stead.
Greetings, my friends.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, back at you.
Back in the saddle. I'm pretty excited about this one.
Speaking of back in some things.
Back in some things.
Guess what I did?
Tell me.
The shame was so overwhelming after revealing that I hadn't seen Back to the Future last week.
Oh my gosh.
That I self-diagnosed and I self-soothed and I watched it the other day.
Did you now?
Yeah.
Did you go buy a VCR and a VHS and get the full experience?
I bet it came out on Laserdisc.
Probably. This is like 84.
85, yeah.
85, yeah. What'd you think?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. It was such a quintessential 80s movie.
Oh, 100%.
The mannerisms, the way it's shot, the story, just the whole thing is delightfully smack dab in the middle of the 80s, which is exactly what 1985 is.
I love it. From a car person perspective, what are your takes?
My big takeaway is, having not seen it, but heard so much about the DeLorean and how that's associated with that movie, I didn't think there was as much DeLorean as I thought there would be.
Oh, interesting.
It was kind of a secondary element to the movie. I was expecting to see the DeLorean constantly throughout the movie. And it really just kind of appears at the beginning and at the end for the most part.
True. Well, imagine this. The original script called for the time machine to be a refrigerator. So, given how much DeLorean there is, it's probably a good thing we're not seeing that much of it.
You know, just like DeLorean really derived some press from this movie, I feel like this movie derived press from DeLorean.
True.
And vice versa.
True.
Especially now in history. And I don't think a fridge would have held that down.
Probably not. I think they made the right move.
Yeah.
Also, fridge can't go 88 miles an hour.
That's true. Although these days, who knows? You got fridges that have like see-through doors and they talk to you and they refill your milk for you. Those or whatever.
Yeah, they're just ordering your groceries.
I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I enjoyed it. It was great. I guess I have like, 3 more of them to watch?
Yeah, there's a couple. Actually, at the LeMay America's Car Museum in Tacoma on Thursday, they're doing an outdoor movie, and it's Back to the Future 2.
Oh.
So if you're feeling up for a little drive.
Did you plan this?
I did not, but that worked out pretty well.
Really did.
Of course, that'll be... Oh, no, it'll be 2 days after this comes out.
There you go. We're talking about Back to the Future in the future. We don't even know where we are.
I'm confused.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, everybody.
Make sure that you're liking and subscribing and doing all the things on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening.
Share it all, my friends. I wanted to kick off the news here a little bit with some not news and some very old news, so that doesn't even really make it news. But everybody knows how much I love the new Genesis stuff, the G70. Well, I got all excited yesterday when I saw an article about the Genesis G70 shooting brake, as it's known, which is really just a wagon. I got all excited, sent it to Brian, some other people, and then I realized just now as we were recording this is actually a year and something old. So this isn't news, but the point of this is that Genesis, who's making their beautiful G70s, G80s, and the SUV and the sedan forms, also made a wagon for Europe only. Womp womp.
Of course. Europe gets everything.
Totally. A couple interesting elements about this, and you probably already know this because it's a year and a half old, but it came in 3 engines. The base 2-liter turbo starting at $43,000, a 2.2 diesel, and a $45,000. Oh, I'm sorry. The diesel was the $45,000 entry point, and then the high output 2-liter turbo for almost $50,000.
That's not a big spread on the prices.
It's not, and it's also really weird because the Genesai here have 3.3 liter turbos as the top trim engine. That would be really compelling in these.
Sure. Well, I think the Euro versions probably have these smaller engines because of the road taxes and things like that. You know, the bigger the engine, the more you pay for it.
Yeah, the emission situation over there is crazy.
Right.
The really weird part about this is they're rear-wheel drive only.
Wow.
Which, I mean, I'd take that over a front-wheel drive version
Sure.
of it. But it's kind of bizarre to have this long, wagony thing that's brand new that doesn't have all-wheel drive on it when all the other vehicles in the range are all-wheel drive.
It's a fun car.
Totally. You could hoon this thing to death.
I love it. I will say, speaking from a historical standpoint, calling a four-door wagon a shooting brake is a little misleading because back in the day, a shooting brake was a two-door wagon designed specifically to haul your hunting gear.
Oh, yeah? Well, what about a coupe? Doesn't that have 4 doors, according to BMW?
Yeah. What is this now? What are we doing?
I don't know. But this isn't even news. The point of this is go look this thing up. The Genesis G70 shooting brake. Google it. It may be one of the most beautiful stock cars I've ever seen. It's so gorgeous. It's perfect all around. I love it. I want it. And all I can think about is if this comes to the US and if they make a Magma version of it.
Oh, boy.
You know I'm going to lose my shit.
Jordan's going to be driving an orange wagon.
I'm going to be driving a $75,000 2-liter turbo wagon around or something.
That's pretty good. I could see it.
I know. Yeah, check it out. It's beautiful.
On to some real news.
Yeah.
Tell me about this, Jordan. I feel like the EV saga just continues to get weirder and weirder here in the States and beyond. What are we dealing with?
Right now, we're dealing with the fact that Fisker is currently selling its remaining Ocean SUVs for $2,500 to $16,000 a pop in a bulk deal. As you may know, Fisker filed for bankruptcy, and they're selling all of their remaining Ocean SUVs to a leasing firm.
That's not like a rental car company. Like,
No, I don't even really know. But the point here is that the New York-based firm is called American Lease, which sounds like a fake firm, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there. They're going to buy 3,231 Ocean SUVs for up to $46 million. Just all of them in one big, give me all your cars, here's $46 million tops. We're going to take these and do whatever we want to do with them.
that's so weird. But this isn't Fisker throwing in the towel.
I don't know.
Cash grab, I think.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, because those cars are like literally rated the worst cars ever.
Yeah, they do look all right, but
I agree.
I get the sense here that they're trying to just like start from scratch. They're getting rid of everything, and they're like, all right, let's try again. Let's get a little money. Of course, $46 million isn't really going to get you very far in today's manufacturing world, especially building a brand new vehicle. So could this be the end? I don't know.
They should just make bikes.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Or like mopeds, electric mopeds.
That would be totally fine with me. More companies should focus on personal transportation as opposed to building cars built for 5 or 8 people when really only one person is going to be in them.
Yeah. I want a Vespa, by the way. Or I just want like a little electric scooter. I'm starting to see them more and more around.
Yeah, it's the affordable way to move.
It really is. It's
also,
true.
we were talking about the, what do you call the off-road things? You talked about them a couple weeks ago on the podcast. You know what I'm talking about? Like you know what I'm talking about? I can't think of the word. They sell them at like Mount Baker Motorsports.
Oh, a slingshot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see those on the road.
Yeah.
Like more often. Like I know it's summertime and whatever. So they're
and remember, in order to be street legal, they have to have all that dumb stuff put on them.
Yeah. I did read something about like because it's so limited production, like there's certain rules and regulations, like you don't have to have actual airbags, but you do have to have seatbelts, turn signals, all that kind of thing. So, and it's interesting.
One of my favorite bumper stickers of all time is "No airbags, we die like men." And I saw it like on an old sports car or something.
Perfect.
It's like that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Smash your face on the dash.
One more note here on this Fisker thing. In the filing, it shows that Fisker will have, quote, no obligation to update the vehicles beyond the software v2.1. The company will provide American Lease with, quote, all relevant source code or other proprietary software or operating elements, as well as existing developer work as may be necessary or required for the operability of the vehicles and any other Fisker vehicles that they may buy or own or blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of interesting. They're like, hey, you want them? You can have them, but we're literally not going to do anything more after this check hits.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Also, on your note here, the filing was dated July 2nd, and if the deal is not approved by July 12th, Fisker won't be able to fund vital expenses such as payroll or taxes. So
Nice.
this is
We're
do or
really,
die.
yeah, bottom of the barrel here.
Dang.
Damn. Well, good luck, Fisker. We're excited to see you enter the moped market.
There's a good chance that the next time we're doing this podcast in a year from now, it'll be in the history section
right.
as opposed to the news section.
This is true. Yeah, that's how it works.
That is.
How about on to some real history?
My goodness.
What do we got? July 9th.
Well, we're going through July 9th through July 15th this week. And yes, July 9th, kicking off not too far back in history. 2009, the last PT Cruiser rolls off the assembly line.
Rip.
It was introduced in the early 2000s. You know, it's supposed to be one of those neoclassical boomer cars, for lack of a better term. No hate. But there were so many cars of that era that just were trying so hard to be sold to a very specific audience. And this was one of them. And I think they did a good job of it because they built a bajillion of them. And they built a bajillion of them in different trim levels.
Yes, there's
my God.
there are some wild trim levels of the PT Cruiser. This has been well documented, but I thought I'd take a look back on some of these trim levels. There's about a zillion of them, so we're not going to go over all of them. But here's some top favorites. We have the PT Cruiser Dream Cruiser Series 1 through 5, which included unique paint colors, upgraded interiors, special badging, blah, blah, blah. The GT, which is the one you want, or not really want, but if you have to have one, you want this one.
There it is.
This is the turbocharged engine, sport tune suspension, and unique styling cues for enhanced performance and appearance. The interesting part here that I didn't know is the 2.4 liter turbo that's in this trim is actually the exact same engine as the SRT4 Neon, which blows my mind because we were just talking about that last week, and that can be seriously hotted up.
That's fun. And these are all available with a manual transmission too. So
Most of them, I think, yes.
at least the fun ones.
Yeah, at least the fun ones, yes. Continuing on, we have a bunch of weird California-y west side of the United States edition things, like the Route 66 edition, special color, special badging, and the interior trim reflecting the famous American highway, which I'm not even going to look up a photo because that sounds just horrible.
One of these was for sale locally not too long ago.
Oh my God. We've got the Sunset Boulevard edition, which is sunset orange paint, which y'all know I'm a fan of. Magma edition. Special trim package. And again, unique interior appointments inspired by the famous Los Angeles Boulevard. And then here's a Brian special edition right here. This is the PT Cruiser Walter P. Chrysler Signature Series, which paid homage to the company's founder with, again, unique badging, premium features, and enhanced comfort options. Like maybe it pops your dentures in or something. I don't know. They also made a convertible of the PT Cruiser, which is really weird and, I don't know, kind of cool. I don't know.
It's a two-door. I mean, that's pretty, like, they really had to rethink how they were building it to be able to do that. And, you know, it's just, I don't know, would you call this a crossover, a car? Like, it's not an SUV, but it's like a little bit taller. It's kind of like a Forester.
What did they call it? They called it something special back in the day. It was like called like the Universal People Mover or something. There was some like really hokey kind of, but also made sense way of describing it.
That sounds familiar. I have no idea, but
anyway, convertible is cool. And then of course, if you really want to
top of the line,
if you really want to go big, you walk into that dealership and you say, I want the Flames edition, which I'm going to let you figure out what that means. No, just kidding. I'm going to tell you what it means. Factory applied flame decals on the exterior, adding a hot rod inspired look to the car's retro design.
Oh my God. Chrysler so bad wanted to build a hot rod straight out of the factory from this era. You know, the PT Cruiser.
Prowler.
Thunderbird. The Prowler. Yeah.
Yeah. The real interesting one, my favorite one, is the not a trim, but someone swapped a Viper engine into a PT Cruiser, and they also made it into a Ute as well. So they cut the back off it, made it into a truck.
I mean, if the Viper edition would have made a lot more sense as an actual factory hot rod. But that's also what the Prowler needed.
Yes. The rarest one, I believe, and PT Cruiser fans don't come out of the woodwork and kill me for this, but the rarest one is the Dream Cruiser Series 1, which had an Inca Gold metal flake paint on it, which is just a big kind of gold yellow color. on the PT Cruiser. That's
Inca
pretty
gold.
much it. Yeah, it's Inca
Leave it
gold.
at that.
Yeah, it's just melted down gold covering this PT Cruiser. Anyway, that's the rarest PT Cruiser out there. But the weirdest one, in my opinion, was the Bustleback body kit.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which gives the PT Cruiser a 1980 Cadillac Seville style bustleback look, which basically means it attaches a fake box to the back of the PT Cruiser. And as Brian and I were investigating this, when you open the box, all it does is reveal the handle to the hatchback.
To the actual trunk lid.
You can't even store anything in there.
It's so pointless.
I can't even imagine.
You know what I really want? Okay, I just figured out my dream PT Cruiser.
No, what do you got?
The SRT 4 engine
Yep.
on a Walter P. Chrysler edition with the Bustleback body kit. Done.
Oh my
Done.
God. Just sounds and acts nothing like it actually looks. It's incredible. Wow. Amazing.
I would take full advantage of that. I'd be at every car show wearing my Crocs.
Oh man, you'd be killing it. I feel like you'd be mopping up at those shows.
Dude.
Yeah. And to close this out, I was looking at a driver's experience video on PT Cruisers here before we started the episode, and the top comment on this video was, they say no one buys a PT Cruiser, they just end up with it.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it kind of does.
A lot of sense.
Yeah. Anyway, July 10th, 1950, Max Hoffman received the first official import shipment of Volkswagens to the U.S. when 20 Type 1s arrived by boat to New York City.
We can be brief about this, but this is the original bug infestation of the United States.
Hey.
I think a few of them showed up on stateside after the war with soldiers just bringing them home with them. But this is the official launch of Volkswagen in the U.S. So pretty
cool.
significant.
Yeah.
I know you're looking at a V-dub right now.
Yeah. I'm looking at a 2019 GTI, cornflower blue stick.
That's the name of it, cornflower?
Yeah.
The hell is cornflower?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I guess flowers, corn
Yeah.
flowers before it becomes corn.
Who knows? Yeah. And then, manual, Rabbit edition, good price, TBD. We'll see. Good mileage. Who knows? It's always something here every episode.
I was just going to say, we're pretty good at finding great cars on the internet and then talking about them.
Yeah. Let's just put it this way. If the dollar amount hits right and I find out that very soon, possibly today, I'm going to buy it straight up.
Bam.
Yeah.
July 10th, 1972, the Honda Civic makes its debut. Obviously an iconic car. Keeps getting better and better, I think, in my mind.
Yep.
But right now, like a lot of cars, the most popular ones are from 25 years ago.
Yep. My buddy is trying to buy one right now from his youth.
Yeah.
Basically like an early 90s. And he sent me one yesterday that had like almost 300,000 miles on it. It was a VX trim, which basically just means it was a stripped out gas fuel efficiency model.
Oh, yeah.
It's rare, but it's like the lightest one you could get.
Yeah.
And this dude was charging like almost $9,000 for it. 300K on it.
What?
I know. I'm like, come on, dude.
What
There's
world are we
no
living
way.
in? People are still trying to get 2021, 2022
Yes.
prices
Yes.
today, which includes me because I still have that Baja and it's sitting in my driveway with a sign that says 12K or best offer.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell it for $8,000. like that's just what it is.
You just outed yourself on record,
Yeah.
brother. Hit him
That's
up
fine.
right now. Go to Bellingham Craigslist, search for Subaru Baja, and talk him down to $8,000, even though it says 11.5.
Yeah. So that's just where things are these days. And I'm realizing it. And I could have sold that car for $15,000 in 2021 for sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's just the way things go. And it's working out in our favor too because prices are going down and there's cars that I want that I couldn't have probably afforded a couple years ago that
Yeah.
are back into the reality zone.
This is true. Yeah. Speaking of another reality, July 11th, 1899.
Facts, baby.
I'm becoming more like Brian every day. Every episode we do, I'm falling into this 1800s trap. Anyway, July 11th, 1899, Fiat is founded as Fabbrica Italiana di Automobile Torino.
God damn, you're good at that.
The first Fiat plant opened in 1900 with 35 staff making 24 cars that year. By 1910, Fiat was the largest automaker in Italy. Today, it is owned by Stellantis. An interesting note on that, I just read somewhere the other day, I don't remember where, that right now, the two brands doing the best in the Stellantis portfolio, Alfa Romeo and Fiat. What has the world come to? I don't know if I believe that, but I read that the other day, and that blew my mind because they've always been the dogs of the portfolio.
That's, Italian craftsmanship and beauty. I don't know.
Guess.
Just for reference, the other brands, or all the brands in Stellantis that make cars are Abarth, Alfa, Chrysler, Citroën, Dodge, DS, Fiat, Jeep, Lancia, Maserati, Opel, Peugeot, Ram, and Vauxhall.
Wow.
So
Vauxhall.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, that's such a weird portfolio.
It's incredible that all these cars came together because it's multi-continental.
Right.
And yeah, the fact that the American brands, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, are just not producing the numbers that you would expect these days. And they haven't been for a long time, to be honest. But is there a priority with the European brands? I don't know, but I like them. And also, a lot of the cars are what was it? The Jeep Renegade used the same components as the Fiat 500.
Yep.
So
I think this is a real hot take, but just thinking about that portfolio from purely an interesting car standpoint, it makes a lot of sense that Alfa and Fiat are the ones that people are more compelled with right now, because honestly, everything else is kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's kind of more same, right? Every Ram truck looks like every other Ram truck. Every Jeep, in my opinion, looks like every other Jeep. They're all just kind of the same thing. Every brand is like one vehicle, I swear.
True. Well, the other thing too, I think, is Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, they're not sold globally very well. And I think Fiat is a global brand.
Yeah.
They sell their cars everywhere.
Right.
And I think that goes for a lot of these other companies too. And Jeep is just this American thing. And I think they probably sell well here, Wranglers, Gladiators, whatever. Yeah. But you're not going to buy one in Italy.
Yeah, I guess not.
It won't fit on the road.
I guess.
Interesting. July 11th, 1984, the U.S. government announced a mandate stating all passenger cars produced after April 1st, 1989 must be fitted with driver's side airbags or automatic seatbelts.
I see. Or is the
key word here.
Key word. Although, tell that to my old 95 Miata. That year, the big safety update was it went from one airbag on the driver's side to two. So the passenger got one as well.
No broken teeth on the dash.
Yeah, and it did not have automatic seatbelts.
Do you remember cars with the seatbelts? I think the Subaru SVX.
And just strangled you every time you got in the car? Yeah, never Civics. Worked. I believe Civics had them. And a lot of vans had them.
Yeah. It seems like that would have made a lot more financial sense for a car company to develop that tech versus the airbag at the time.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just a time buyer. Maybe they knew that there was going to be an implementation of airbags in the future. But the either or there is so funny because cars have seatbelts anyway. You can still unbuckle the automatic seatbelt. It's not actually doing anything if you don't want it to. People who aren't going to wear their seatbelt, they're not going to wear their seatbelt. The airbag, it actually provides a little bit of protection.
Maybe what I'm catching on to here is this is the U.S. government announced a mandate. So does that mean that it was only U.S. cars manufactured in the U.S.?
Or cars sold in the U.S.
Okay. Then how did the Miata get by on that?
Because it has one.
It has what?
An airbag. It has to have an airbag.
Oh, driver. Oh, I see. Okay, driver's side airbag. So it literally only needed one airbag.
Yeah.
Literally for the driver.
I think around the late 90s is when the passenger side also had to have an airbag.
I see. Wow. So 95 Miata ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Twice as safe.
Twice as safe.
It's amazing. Wow. Okay. All right. A good deal. July 11th, 2021. Chinese automaker BYD, Build Your Dreams, by the way.
Best name for a car company.
Totally. Announces a deal to sell electric buses to Golden Arrow Bus Services of Cape Town in South Africa, the first electric buses in Southern Africa.
I threw this in here because I've been wanting to talk about BYD a little bit.
Okay. Build your dream, brother.
Oh, man. Jordan.
It was too easy.
Come on. just the fact that we live really close to the Canadian border and you can drive across the Canadian border and there's BYD dealerships. So for those who are not familiar,
Didn't know that.
yeah, right up in Vancouver. Those who are not familiar, BYD is now the largest producer, seller of plug-in electric vehicles in the world. They've outpaced Tesla. Their cars are well known for their reliability, range, and style. And we'll never get them here in the United States.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Just like all the other good stuff.
Nice.
This company was founded as a battery company
Makes
in
sense.
1995, right? So for them to move into the electric car world makes a lot of sense. And so BYD Auto was actually founded in 2003, which is pre-Tesla. And I think, or right around when the original Tesla Roadster was coming out. And they first focused on like plug-in hybrid kind of stuff, and now they're doing that and full electric cars. And it's 80% of their company now is just building electric vehicles, and they are all over the world except for the United States, and that's primarily because incredibly high tariffs and just general U.S.-Chinese relations.
Nice. Really great. Really glad we get to suffer through not having this.
Right. I feel like this is what we need to really push the electric car marketplace in this country. And we're just saying no to it because we're not a global country anymore.
Yeah. This is a side note here, but the whole bus integration, we've talked about this on a past episode. Public transportation, to me, should not be gas powered at all. If you're a bus and you're driving in the same circle that's 20 miles or whatever tops, let's say, there's absolutely no reason why it shouldn't be a plug-in.
I have some inside information.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Build it.
I have a friend who works for the Snohomish County Transit Authority or whatever they call it.
Okay.
And what it sounds like they're trying to do is integrate electric buses. They cost about $1 million each, by the way, which is insane right now. But the way that they're aiming to keep them on the road without having to stop for charging is wireless charging at bus stops. So every time the bus pulls over, it's getting a boost just from where it's parked. And that could really, streamline kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah. Man, they better get their wireless charging speeds up.
Yeah, right? I mean, but if you're pulling over every 10 minutes, obviously it's not going to keep it fully charged probably, but maybe there's times when you got 15 people getting on and it takes 2 minutes and it gives you a couple more miles of range.
Yeah.
And the other thing too about this, I know that there's a lot of talk about trying to make like one lane on the highway wireless charging for electric vehicles, which would completely change the game.
God, can you imagine the cost of that?
True. Who's paying for that?
Yeah, totally. Well, you and I, my friend.
Yeah.
What's really wild about this is, one, it makes a ton of sense, and it's going to cost $1 zillion. But if I have a pacemaker in and I step on a wireless charging pad for a bus, am I just going to blow up into a red mist?
Wow, that's a great question.
Just wondering.
That's a great question.
Just throwing it out there.
Or it's going to cure your cancer.
Maybe. That's true.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
July 13th, 1968, the world's first high-production Wankel rotary engined automobile, the Mazda R100, is introduced. It featured a 982cc 10A rotary. This is kind of the pre-RX-7, all the research and engineering that went into this car ended up in the RX-7 and the RX-8, and who knows, the RX-400, whatever comes next.
Sick.
What's interesting here to me is the rotary engine gave Japanese buyers a financial advantage when it came time to pay their annual road tax because it was more powerful than a traditional inline engine, but without having the penalty of having an engine in the higher 1.0 liter tax bracket. So this was new to me. When I went to Japan about a year ago, we did a road trip across the country. I was with some friends who import cars, and we took one of their Nissan Silvias to go see Formula Drift, like a couple hundred miles away. And the whole trip, besides the gas, cost something like $400 just to go 200 miles on the freeway because of the tolls. That blew my mind. It is so expensive to drive in Japan. And I realized that's partially why when you see cars coming over being imported, that they're so low mileage. People don't actually drive that much.
Wow. That is a hot tip.
There it is. And also the road tax. It's expensive to license your car. It's expensive to drive your car.
Huh. That does explain why you see a lot of low mileage Japanese cars being imported. I'm like, what are all these Japanese people doing sitting on all these cars and not driving them? But that explains.
Right. They're 25 years old and have 20,000 miles on them.
Oh, and then meanwhile, we're going to bring them here and just put 50,000 miles on them in 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I also like how this is such a human thing to do. Like, find some sneaky way around some power restriction. Like, hey.
Right.
We can't go fast with this engine. We're just going to make a whole new engine that goes faster, but you can't say it's not this other thing, which you said has to be slower. It's like such a human thing to do.
Right, that's true. Good
funny.
catch.
That thing looks cool, by the way. Little bubble.
Yeah, it's very late 60s.
Yeah.
It's like a small Chevy Impala.
Yeah, I like the wheels, kind of the just pure metal hubcappy sort of, I don't know, almost aerodisky, but not aerodisky kind of looking thing.
They're like aerodisc hubcaps for sure.
Yeah.
Also, why don't we have white wall tires
I was
anymore?
literally just going to say that. Yeah, I'm looking at white wall tires are cool. Dude.
I like them.
You can buy them too.
Yeah. You should just slap them on everything.
Yeah. I should put them on my bike.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I like the gum, like the gum tread bike tires, but I feel like this is a whole nother level of steez. Yeah. Anyway. July 13th, 1978. Lee Iacocca was relieved of his position at Ford Motor Company by Chairman Henry Ford II. He had worked at Ford since the late 1940s. He later went to Chrysler, saving the company from bankruptcy. This is one of our favorite stories in this podcast.
Yeah, we did talk about Lee Iacocca a lot.
Yeah.
I wrote an entire screenplay about his career. It's mostly about developing the minivan.
Build your dream, brother. Let's hear about it.
If you're a producer by chance listening to this, just send me an email. We'll cover the bases.
I am a producer, so I'm listening right now.
Oh boy. How much money you got?
Well, in my pocket right now, I got nothing. I got a credit card. That's it.
That'll go far.
I'm cashless.
That's all right. But yeah, I actually did, like when I was at film school, I wrote this spec screenplay just about Lee Iacocca because I was obsessed with the car industry in the 80s. And it's really about building the minivan and how the minivan saved Chrysler. So it's kind of a fun story. It's not the high performance Ford versus Ferrari kind of thing, although same character, right? At least one of them. But I feel like there's a lot of really good stories in the auto industry, and Lee Iacocca's career is one of them.
Yeah. By the way, Ford vs. Ferrari, ultimately better movie than Ferrari.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
I don't know, man. Ferrari was an absolute snooze fest.
It's like a bad love story. I can't watch it.
I don't even understand
I got halfway
what
through
happened.
it. I don't know. I only got halfway.
How do you take an IP like that? How do you go to Ferrari and get their clearance and tell that story in that way?
Maybe that's why it's so terrible.
Oh my God. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a Michael Mann directed movie. It's gotta be good, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Heat, Collateral, all the good shit. No, it was awful. So boring. Ford vs. Ferrari, fun.
Very
Ferrari,
fun.
not fun.
What other good car movies are there? Gone in 60 Seconds was one of my favorites for a long time.
I need to rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Nicolas Cage. There's an original one from the 70s. It's very different.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Fast and the Furious movies.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Do Transformers count as a car movie?
I think so. They're cars.
We'll allow it. Man.
There's a movie called Duel. I've probably talked about it on this podcast before. It was Steven Spielberg's very first feature-length movie. It was made for TV, but it was just about a guy driving a car through the desert being terrorized by a guy in a semi-truck, just trying to run him over the entire time.
Very Grindhouse.
Yeah.
I like it.
It was sick. It was a good one.
Speaking of Steven Spielberg, why was Steven Spielberg's name on Back to the Future? I just had a flashback to realizing his name was attached to that movie when I was watching it, and I was thinking to myself, what did he do? Was he the executive producer or what? Because he was not the director. So I saw his name in the credits and I thought to myself, I don't know what's going on here.
He must have been, he was an executive producer.
Okay, so he was just tossing the money around. Okay, got it. Okay.
That's interesting because that was fairly early in his career too, so.
Yeah. Apparently that script had been rejected like 40 something times, and then now it's considered to be one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time.
Bunch of spin-offs or sequels. Like,
Yeah.
it did well.
It was in the box office, by the way, and like first in the box office for months. I was reading in the 80s.
Well, only like 3 movies a year came out then.
I guess, yeah, that's true. Things are faster these days.
Speaking of fast, July 14th, 1955, the Volkswagen Karmann Ghia makes its debut at the Casino Hotel in Westphalia, Germany. I say fast because it was supposed to be Volkswagen sports car. It really had the same engine and drivetrain as the Volkswagen Bug, but it had a very sporty body by Ghia, or designed by Karmann, bodied by Ghia. So Karmann Ghia. Had to think about that one for a minute.
I got a body by Ghia.
Oh, sexy.
It's oblong and weirdly shaped.
It does the trick. It gets you down the road. I like it. So I have one of these cars. And from the very last year, 1974, it has been undergoing restoration for some time. I contracted with a guy to help me get some work done last fall, last summer-ish. Took it out to his house, gave him a deposit, just waited for a while, checked in with him. He'd ask for parts every now and again. I would ask him for pictures, he wouldn't send it, and like it just started to feel really, really weird. So I finally drove out there. My car was just sitting in a tent outside, like one of those outdoor car cover like tent things, covered in other car parts, blocked in by a Land Rover on one side and the back of the tent on the other, just in a yard. And I had to take a ferry out here. There was no work had been done, zero. And I'd given this guy around $1,000 or something. It had been 5 months. It blew my mind. I was so disappointed. So I told the guy I'm coming to get my car. Rented a truck and trailer to go out there to get it. He's like, yeah, whatever, come get it. Like, even better. He said, don't get on the ferry. I'll drive it to you. And this is like 2 weeks after I saw that it was just a complete mess. He's like, don't get on the ferry. I'll drive it to you. And I said, I don't believe you. I'm coming out there. 5 minutes later, he texts me. He says, I'm going to the hospital. I think I'm having a heart attack. So that checks out. Anyway, so I'm with our mutual friend, comes with me. He is not aware of what the situation really is. I too am like a little bit scared because this is out in the boonies. Like, I don't know if this guy's going to be pissed, if he's going to be like shooting at us. Like, I don't know, but I'm determined to get my car. It's raining. It's December. We go out there. He's not there. Somebody at the house opens the door and he's pretty much just like gives me the rundown of like, yeah, the guy's kind of weird. He just lives here
nice
on and off. And
just what you wanted to hear.
Right. So spent the next like 2.5 hours taking down this tent, gathering all the parts. Me and Kelby pushed the car onto the trailer in the rain, like through a yard. Like, it was just terrible. But we got the car back, and now it's at a hopefully more legitimate restoration shop because there's just a few things that I need to get buttoned up. And
such a badass story. I love how you literally went and repoed your own car.
Yeah. Just a disaster of an experience.
Can we just get a round of applause here for Brian for literally just becoming a repo man and just coming in hot with a truck and trailer, backing up and stealing his own car back from somebody?
You gotta do it sometimes.
It's the most badass thing I ever heard in my life.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I love it. I love it. July 15th, 1914, the Dodge brothers produced the last part for Ford, and their new car company is incorporated 2 days later.
Yeah. So
Curious.
Interesting story here. Keep it brief, but the Dodge brothers pretty much had a manufacturing company in Detroit starting in the early 1900s, and one of their biggest clients was Ford. They made a lot of the transmissions and axles and other parts for the Ford Model T, and truly made a fortune from Ford before they started their own car company. And so this date is when they produced their last part for that company and went off and did their own thing. And I think that they actually still owned a small percentage of Ford for the first like 5 or 6 years of owning Dodge too. So
weird.
They were raking.
Wow. That's how you got to do it.
Yeah.
True side hustle right there.
Right?
Yeah. Wow.
I don't think there was non-compete contracts back then.
Yeah, I guess not. Things were easier to make money back then, I guess.
Yeah. July 15th, 1996, the 1 millionth Porsche is built. It was a gift for the Stuttgart Police Force, a Porsche 911 993.
Nice.
This thing is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Also, what a way to honor a million Porsches. Just give it to the cops.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. This seems like a weird thing to do with such a milestone of such a vehicle.
Right. I wonder if they'd actually use it as a police car or if it's sitting somewhere, because it is a true milestone.
I mean, the car is cool. What they did to it looks pretty dumb. It's just a white 993, and they just put a green hood on it that just said 1 millionth Porsche Police on it, and that's it.
Wham bam, now you know.
Yeah, so like really cool Porsche Special Edition. Can you imagine how much that hood is worth though today?
Oh, right. Just the hood.
Porsche people would lose their shit for that.
I bet that's something that you can buy a replica of to hang on your wall.
Yeah, I mean, I could do it with a green marker. Just give me a white Porsche. I could do the same thing.
Classic.
Let's see here.
Last but not least.
Yeah, July 15th, 2021. The Hyundai Elantra N debuts. You know it. You love it. Our good friend Carrie and I rented this one time. Awesome front-wheel drive sports sedan, manual transmission, turbo 4, great fun car. Looks are a little divisive, I think, for some people, but man, that thing drove and sounded awesome. And I looked it up today, and they start at $33K in 2024, which is pretty amazing because it had really nice interior. Like I said, the driving experience was not only semi-luxurious, but it was also very fast. Had a lot of fun exhaust sounds, pops and bangs and burbles and all the fun stuff. And then it had all the creature comforts, the Apple CarPlays and all those things and the heated seats. So for $33K, that might be the new car sporty bargain right now.
Man.
As far as things go. It was great. So check it out. If you haven't seen one or rented one, go on Turo. Still not sponsored by Turo, but check out Turo. Look for some Elantra N's locally and give it a rent. You will not regret. And if you think that it's a lesser vehicle because it's a Hyundai, I think you're going to be surprised.
Yeah, Hyundai's killing it. Also, I just love the idea of a sedan that's fast and sporty and fun.
Totally.
Let's go.
Especially with a manual is really weird to say in 2024.
People got families, but they still want to cruise.
Yeah. Yep. A little bit of reader mail. What do we got today?
We actually had a couple of people asking about cars that they're interested in perhaps purchasing and would like our take.
Well, we don't know anything, but we'll try our best.
I don't know a whole lot about nothing. Lou L wants to get our take on a 1976 Ford Torino listed for $5,500. Here's the brief description. Car runs, shifts, and stops as it should. Car's been sitting for 2 years and will need to be gone over. Starts right up and idles fine. 400 V8 and automatic transmission. Muffler needs to be replaced. Has some rust forming in areas, but overall in great shape for its age.
Nice. And it is poop brown inside and outside, just for those who can't see it.
I know that's your favorite color of car.
Yeah, totally. If only it had some champagne accents, it would really be my favorite.
$5,500 for a run-in driving mid-70s Ford seems still a little expensive for me. Even something like this, like just because it's rare doesn't mean it's expensive. It does have a big smoking V8, which is kind of fun, but it's like of that era when there wasn't a lot of power in anything,
right?
Because of emissions and things like that. But I think that you could get into this car, and if you're mechanically handy, it could be a fun little cruiser.
You know there's room under that hood to work, that's for sure.
That's true.
Thing's a mile long.
And I'm curious, maybe these cars will grow in value, this era of vehicle, I should say, because like the Cadillac Eldorados and Lincoln Continentals, they all have this, big swooping hood, 2 doors, semi-luxurious, well, of the era, are luxurious cars. They're fun to look at. But yeah, they're totally land yachts.
White wall tires.
Oh, there it is. All right. Yeah, it's a good deal.
Yeah, you should buy it. Chris wants to know if he should buy a 1980 Fiat 124 Spider. JD Powers values this car at about $20K in average condition. $8,500 is low and $40K is in excellent condition. This person is only asking $4,500. My God. This classic sports car has fuel injection, double overhead cams, new clutch, and it's running strong. New top and tires, all electrical works, even the clock. Trunk and floorboards are perfect. Currently registered and clean title in hand. So, I mean, something is going on here. If it's that cheap and everything is great. So I don't know. I'm a little suspect.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an interesting listing. I mean, it sounds like a great car. I'm looking at it right now. There does seem to be, I mean, they say it has a nice top, but the only picture of the top is it half connected to the roof. So maybe it's got a plastic rear window that will probably need to be replaced. And I don't think you can just replace this. I think you have to replace the whole top.
Probably. And like, I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you. You would know more about this than I do. I feel like my ability to gauge a car's value really stops around like 1990 for me.
That's fair.
I look at this and I'm like, I don't know. Could be a $50,000 car. Could be a $500 car. I don't know.
Honestly, I think this is fairly priced because they are in the same category as like MGBs, and there's a million of those out there that are for sale.
Yeah.
These are probably harder to find parts for
than
those. If it runs and drives and you can get into it for $4,500, I say go for it.
Yeah, just lowball them at 3 and take whatever you get, and then drop an LS engine in it.
True. Also, on like the power, the price guidelines from those different organizations, like they're all over the place. Something's only worth what somebody will pay. You can put whatever you want.
Yeah, especially these days, post-COVID weirdness, and like who knows what anything's worth. But hey, you know what you could also do is just skip ahead almost 25 years and buy one of the new Fiat 124 Spiders, Abarths, which are awesome, a Miata alternative, but comes with a turbo. So I would go for that if you want to spend considerably more money.
Yeah, a little different than $4,500.
Yeah, just saying.
But I like where you're at.
Yeah, well, what a good one.
That was fun.
Yeah, thanks for listening, y'all. Please follow along with us, share. We are cranking through these episodes. We're in the 20s. What is this, 21?
I think so, 22.
Yeah, 22.
Dang.
22 episodes. My God, we're coming up on...
halfway through the year.
Yeah, what is happening?
Wow.
We're doing things. Anyway, where can people find us, my friend?
We're on Facebook, This Day in Automotive History, automotivehistory.org, and Instagram, This Day in Automotive History, or at Drive History Pod. I think that what would be really helpful is if you just go ahead and hit that share button wherever you're listening to this right now and send it to your car friends, and make sure you subscribe.
Do it. And wish me luck on this rabbit sale. Hopefully it comes through. But until then,
Drive history every day.
Goodbye.